It's a beautiful Monday morning in the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria. My name is Damilola Okunshaki, and this morning I'll be reviewing the front pages of the dailies and also analyzing them. And of course, Vanguard this morning is leading with 2023, Atiku, Tinubu, all verbal missiles at each other. Atiku belongs to a dying breed of ethnic and regional politicians that's coming from Tinubu. Tinubu's greatest threat to national cohesion, democratic norms, that's coming from Atiku, as Tinubu meets northern leaders today. And here inside the Vanguard newspaper in the financial sector, we have a nation's top manufacturers borrow 535 billion naira to survive, as interest on borrowing rises at 35.8% to 45.5 billion naira. Analysts decry high financing costs and recommend commercial papers. And below, we have 603 dead, 2 million displaced as flood wreaks havoc in Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, and others. And we have a Peter Obi flags off campaign October 25. 70 corpses recovered in Niger boat mishap. 2023. NEDG and NESG to organize presidential debate on economic policy November 16. On page 6, we have NDLEA nabbs pregnant woman, undergraduate, 26 others with drugs in Federal Capital Territory and 12 states. Enugu 2023, Mba pledges quality people focused governance. Stories above, we have ahead of 2023 general election, all editors conferences holds in Owerri. Zamfara APC PDP youth clash. Deputy Governor police confirm A1 dead and 18 injured. I didn't write letter to AGF not to free Nnamdi Kanu. That's coming from Yedioa. And lastly, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, we have hand over. I'll make Ekiti prosperous. That's coming from Oyebanji. And that's all on Vanguard. Away from there, we'll move to The Guardian. The Guardian this morning is leading with Nigeria's hunger level serious, ranks 103 out of 121 countries. 4 in 10 Nigerians live below $2 daily. United Nations chief CDD tax leaders on bending worsening poverty curve. We also have make poverty reduction key campaign issue. PWDs urge Nigerians. NHRC food crisis has worsened hunger in Nigeria. You can see that on page 6. And here we have a photo story that says FX Plant Manager Abdul Akaim and Chief Executive Officer affects Ayodeji Balogun, Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, and others during the launch of the 100.000 MT FX Grain Quality Enhancing Center at the weekend. And of course, stories above, we have premium on parallel markets exceed 300 naira per dollar. Also, lastly, on the front page of The Guardian, we have, again, Rivers ranks first in fiscal performance, and that's according to budgets. Now, away from The Guardian, we'll move straight to The Nation. The Nation this morning is leading with outrage over Atiku's "Don't vote for Yoruba Igbo" remark. Ohaneze, Mogalu, others knock PDP presidential candidate. You can see that story on page 4. And we have Ekiti Governor Oyebanji for food plant. You can see that on page 3. Federal government plans a special fund for flood victims. 603 lives lost to disaster. 2.5 million displaced. We also have Rivers rank first in fiscal performance budgets. Police rescue abducted ASP in Kwara. 11 held for plotting violent clash in Ogun. You can see that on page 6. Story above, we have Lagos leads with 753 billion naira IGR collection. FCT follows with 131.92 billion naira. Tinubu to interact with northern leaders today. Also, forex crisis worsens as naira reserves drops to lowest level. You can see that on page 5. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation newspaper, we have telecoms active voice subscribers each 206.4 million, and you can see that's on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Now, away from there, we move to the Punch, and the Punch this morning is leading with fresh trouble hits Atiku over anti-Yoruba and Igbo comments. Tinubu Obi's camp, NNPP lambast ex-vice president over incendiary statements. PDP candidates likely breached Section 97 of Electoral Act. Fine may apply. Atiku campaigns in Kaduna, Tinubu meets a northern coalition, APC misleading Nigerians, and of course that's in court. On page 8, we have Oyebanji freezes Ekiti account, one bangs. Lagos female driver kills pregnant woman and kills 2 passengers. You can see that on page 4. Stories are above. We have CBN eyes as 7,740 agents to drive in-era adoption. Federal government reopens Dangote Cement, parties to continue talks. Federal government says a flood killed 603, blames state and local governments. ASU, varsity old emergency meeting on resumption. You can see that on page 16. And we have Buhari budget 248 billion naira for Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and others. You can see that on page 32. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, on page 31, we have grid collapses 98 times under Buhari amid 1.52 trillion naira bailouts. And that's all we have on the front page of the Punch and front pages of other papers this morning. Now, of course, to get more of our top stories, you can always get them on our website. But we'll be back to give you these details on our papers after the break.
So now the call of this one, we just follow you. Swim small. Because swim go touching this thing. Come like say you want to touch this thing. Hope you sabi swim. Why not? No be why not? No, go to the second panel. Go to that panel. Go to the second panel.
I have traversed the whole of this country. I know the whole of this country. I have built bridges across this country. I think what the average northerner needs is somebody who is from the north and who also understands the other parts of Nigeria and who has been able to build bridges across the rest of the country. This is what the northerner needs. He doesn't need a Yoruba candidate or an Igbo candidate. This is what the northerner needs. So I believe I stand before you as a pan-Nigerian of northern origin.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News of Vanguard Live. I'm Damilola Ogunshakin. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is the now CEO of Magnet Communication, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. And this morning, he will be reviewing the front pages with us and also analyzing them. Good morning, Mr. Liu.
Good morning.
Yes,
how are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you for joining us. All right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies. Presidential candidate of APC and PDP were at each other's jugular yesterday over alleged divisive politics and threats to, to national harmony. But let's go over to the weekend. What Atiku said first in Kaduna during an interactive session with Arewa Joint Committee. He allegedly said that Northerners needed someone of his stature and not a Yoruba or Igbo president. What do you think about this statement?
It's a statement that that saddens me as a person, because in the last 3 or 4 months that we elected presidential candidates for the political parties that we have in Nigeria, I cannot see, or I have not seen any of them coming out with a clear program on what they want to do if they get to office as the president of Nigeria. The statement from both the APC and PDP candidates clearly shows the level that we are in Nigeria compared to other advanced countries. In other climes, these politicians should be talking to the people about their plans for their lives, how they want to change the lives of the people, how they want to affect the people of Nigeria who are suffering. I read this morning about the level of poverty in this country. I have not had a clear word from any of our politicians on the steps they want to take to alleviate poverty in this country. But what we keep hearing are abuses, tantrums, divisive statements like the one that came from Atiku last weekend. It is unfortunate that a man who claims to have gone round the entire Nigeria could come out with such a statement. It is sad that the APC too could come out to say something about what Atiku said without coming out as a party to say this and these are our programs for the people. This and these are our plans to uplift the living standard of Nigerians who are suffering. We've heard about the flood in so many parts of the country. Our leaders have been going abroad for conferences on climate change. I don't know what they have taken back from those conferences. We are not prepared for anything, not even the so-called climate change. Because we've heard about climate change for up to 2 or 3 years now, and we didn't make any plan. We have no plan to check the effects of climate change in Nigeria. Nobody is talking about all that, but about which tribe should vote for which candidate. That is sad. You see, politicians should stop dividing Nigerians along ethnic and political lines. And that is why we have the crisis we have in Nigeria today. Some people will rise up in the north and attack churches for no reason. They even kill fellow Muslims for no reason. What was the cause of all this? Because our leaders themselves, they don't come out with statements that will bring us together as a nation. They don't make statements that will unite us as a nation. Their statements are either tribalistic and extremely toxic, just like the one that Atiku made. A leader should not sit down and make such a statement. You have thousands of people who are homeless in Nigeria. You have millions of people who don't even know what to eat the next morning. Nobody is making statements. Nobody is coming out with a clear-cut policy on how to curb poverty in Nigeria. But people sit down and talk about which tribe should vote for who and which tribe should not vote for who and all that. That to me is irrelevant. Let us sit down and have a clear-cut idea of what these politicians want to do for Nigeria.
But I went through people's comments. Some people were talking about it because the video was on social media. I know some people were saying that his words might actually not have meant any harm because, it's just appealing to people's emotions, just like the way we have others saying, they're going to vote for their tribe. Like you said, we are tribalistic in Nigeria.
You see, why is it that it is when election is coming that we remember that somebody is from the north, the other person is from the southwest, Yoruba land. But when it comes to having or marrying from these tribes, all these things go smoothly without anybody referring to where the wife comes from or where the husband comes from. But when it is politics, that is when don't vote for Yoruba man, don't vote for an Hausa man. That is not right. You see, this gives me a flashback to the call for the restructuring of this country, that which the governments have refused to effect. Once we continue to talk about Mr. A is from the north and the Northerners should vote for him. Mr. B is from Yoruba land. Because he's our son, you should vote for him. Not minding whether these people have any good agenda for the country. It doesn't make sense. We cannot grow as a nation if we continue to defend and project our tribal sentiments. It is not going to help this country as a nation, because I don't know how people feel safe and comfortable in the midst of poverty. So many people can't even feed. So many people will send messages and request for assistance with as little as 2,000 naira just to eat. I don't think our leaders know what is going on in Nigeria. I don't think so, because if they do, I don't think they will continue to divide us along ethnic and religious lines. They would have come out with a clear-cut policy on how to save this country. This country is sinking. I'm telling you, because you need to be out there and relate with the people at the level that they are before you know that the country is sinking. But our leaders are up there. They have access, free access to money. And so they don't care about what happens to people. It is unfortunate. But you need to get to the bottom, the lower ladder, to know the feelings of the people. When they are going out, they are protected by policemen. These people don't have access to them. But those of us who are with them, they are not giving us a breathing space at all. You wake up in the morning, you read about requests from people you know, not people you don't know. Of course, your number would be with only the people you know. Somebody who doesn't have your number will not just wake up and send you a message. And you discover that these are people that were once either in government, that are now out of government, or people that have never been in government, but were doing well in their private businesses. But they have suddenly found themselves on the ground and they need help. So, government should sit down and look at what they can do with the economy of this country. In some of the headlines you read, I heard you talking about the exchange rate and the crash of the naira, total crash of the naira. You understand what I'm saying? If the big boys, the big men, the politicians have free access to money, those who are on the lowest ladder of the economy don't have access to the kind of money that these other people have access to. We must create a level playing field for Nigerians to survive. Otherwise, I don't want to be a prophet of doom. Because people keep talking about election. But you are not looking at how to lift the standard of living of the people. People have now, in those days, in the days of NPN, they said Nigerians have not started picking from the dustbin. They have started now. If my dustbin is outside, if you come the following morning, the level of refuse there would have gone down, because you see people coming to pick things from there. It is that bad. And somebody is talking about whether you should vote for an Hausa man or vote for a Yoruba man. To me, that is nonsense. They should come out with a clean and clear plan to uplift the standard of living of Nigeria.